Hey guys, it's Jenna Elfman from Fear the Walking Dead. I play Laura. No, I play Naomi. No, I play June. I play June on Fear the Walking Dead. And you're listening to the Fear the Walking Dead talk through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, I'm Lindsley Register, and I play Laura on The Walking Dead. You're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through on Talk Through Media.
Hey, this is Ross Marquand, and you're listening to The Walking Dead Talk Through.
Awesome.
Hey, this is Mick Stahl, and you're listening to Fear the Walking Dead Talk Through.
Cool.
Hey survivors, welcome to episode 102 of Fear the Walking Dead Talk Through. I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
Woohoo!
Woo.
Yay! Back for another exciting episode.
Yay! Yay!
All right, well, we didn't get any feedback from last week, so we'll push on. So this week we'll be talking about Fear the Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 3, titled Odessa. Written by Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg, which is now the third time in a row that they've been that this has been written by, and directed by Ron Underwood. Description on YouTube TV was Mo's hunt to prove Padre's true intentions has her in over her head as she's drawn to the larger web of secrets.
Ooh.
All right, well, let's get into our ratings. All right, well, I mean, I guess, actually, I'm not sure if I did last week's lower than this, but this had some good moments, I'll just say that. So yes. I gave it a 5 out of the mouth of Moe's, or 5, Luke, I'm Padre's daughter.
Feel it in your bones. You know it to be so.
Anyways, what'd you have this episode?
Well, I likewise came up from last week and I gave it a 5. Well, at least we know who to blame for all the bird names now.
Yep. Daddy was all his. Oh, goodness.
General Dad.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, let's get into our listeners' ratings. And the first one comes from Dieta from Detroit, and she gave it a 5 out of 10. Sippy cuts of yerba mate.
That's yerba mate.
Oh, yerba mate. Get your minds right drink. Yep.
And Gliss from Toronto gives it a 7 out of 10. Multiple standoffs.
Ivan from Minnesota gave it a 3 out of 10. Can somebody just kill her?
Mm-hmm. Renee from Atlanta gives it a 0. 0. Seriously, I am sick of these freaking birds. Well,
emojis.
Don't you know about the birds? Everybody knows that the birds are the words.
Yep. And I would like to say, welcome back, Renee. We missed you.
Yay,
so happy that you are.
Missed you.
I know for the show, but like it's not going to be the best, but I'm glad that you're back.
just 3 more weeks.
Yep. And then
if my math is right, it's 3 more weeks.
All right. Well, next is Mike from Asheville, and he says he gave it a 4 out of 10. Neverland is calling.
Ding dong. All right. Aaron from the internet gives it an 8. It was a good episode and really beyond the weird logic for separating families on the grand scale. Everything mainly made sense. Again, I still don't think beyond the one point that concept holds water, but at least it wasn't completely a left field line, as the kids did have a reason for thinking that way, having lost their dad.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. And
indeed.
That was one of the things what I did enjoy about the episode. Alrighty, well then that's all our listeners' feedback ratings. So let's get into our awesome sauce. Awesome sauce. You want to take this?
I will. We'll kick off the awesome sauce with Dieta from Detroit, who says Daniel is back and without the mind scramble and confusion. Glad we get to see him back in action before it all ends.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. All right. This seems to be the common thread of this episode. Glennis from Toronto says, Daniel's character and mental faculties restored, at least for now. I did not enjoy how they handled Daniel with the supposed dementia or PTSD.
Indeed, Glennis. Indeed. Mike from Asheville says, Daniel's back. Some mentions of other folks. Cool.
Ivan from Minnesota says, I guess seeing Padre's backstory was slightly, maybe possibly interesting. Also, Daniel's back.
And Renee from Atlanta says, June's hair is beautiful, and I need to find out quick, fast, and in a hurry where the heck she purchases her bundles, because I need them in my life.
The magic of Hollywood.
Yes, and only her Hollywood hairdresser knows.
Yep. Next is Erin from the internet, and she gave her awesome as Little Mo. If we had to be stuck with a Morgan all season, can it be please just this one? Unlike the others, she is consistent in her choices now, and she is not holier than thou about situations. I'm very much enjoying her this season. Also, Dove is good, but I do wonder how long she is in for the series now that she's gotten involved more and knows the truth. And she also says, it was great seeing Daniel for his 1 episode a season mandate time. Thanks for stopping in, man, because seeing Daniel and Madison together in that one scene felt kind of like old times again and was nice. We'll miss you, Daniel. He might pop up once more, we'll see, but I'm not banking on it as they haven't given him much screen time in 3 years, so why start now?
Indeed.
Yeah, I think this is the last season, and maybe in this little first run with 3 more episodes till the break. So hopefully we do get to see more Daniel, because
we need more Daniel.
Yeah, because he really made this episode really great. All right, well, thank you everybody for your awesome sauces. So that goes into ours, and basically I have to agree. Daniel being back was really the high point of this episode. I also like the reunion between him and Madison. There's like that look on his face that was just like so awesome. I mean, because it was like, it's been some time since we've been in the several episodes, and obviously when Madison, they sprung that on as like, ooh, look who's back, and then she got that one very last episode. But this has always been something that we've talked about, just like having this reunion where, like, if Madison was truly not dead, her getting to like see the group after all this time and everything they've gone through. So it was great. I wrote in here as like, it was sad though that this reunion moment with June there too, because I could have felt like it could have been more epic if they had Alicia. And one of the awesome things I liked about this episode was all the Madison era callbacks. Like June was saying when she was about to get her, like, Madison is about to get the chomp and she like says, she's like, I left you once at the stadium and you saved us all, but I'm not going to leave you now, and I'll be here until the end. And like, I really enjoyed that whole part. It's while the rest of the show is kind of going, it's like these moments I'm really enjoying. So that I hope we'll see if Madison actually meets Strand. That would be a nice thing to see. And then also I agreed with the Padre flashbacks, because it was finally, we were getting some substance with what with this Padre. Well, that was all my awesomes. LT?
Well, since everybody already started with the Daniels, I'm going to wait. We know where all the batteries are. Just being able to see the shipyard with all those Connex boxes full of supplies makes me think, well, maybe that's where all the walkies are, and that's where all the batteries are, and that's where all the bullets are. So just the thought that here we have been scraping and scrimping and looking around for stuff, and here's a whole, dockyard full of stuff. And I will change my order up just a little. I really enjoyed Madison doing the 1984 Mac ad. And for those of you who are not old enough to remember, look it up on YouTube. It's there. But the way that, she just turned around and put that sledgehammer through the glass window, because we've all been wanting somebody to do that all along.
Yep.
And then it turns out it's Junior.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was really cool that they pulled that reveal.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also going to throw in that I like the flashback. Now, for those of you who've been listening to the podcast for some time, you know that I am typically very critical of how they handle flashbacks. I'm going to say that I really liked this one because it added to the story. We knew flashback from not flashback, mainly because of Shrike's hair, going from the braids to the kind of short curly bob that she has now. I enjoyed it because it made sense. It actually drove the story. It furthered the narrative, and it was not confusing. We didn't have jumps back and forth enough to make my head hurt. So I've got to, give awesome where awesome is due and say, that's the way that I like to see flashbacks done. And since everybody else has jumped on the bandwagon, and since I have said in previous episodes that Daniel is one of my favorite characters, and possibly him and John Dory are probably my two favorite characters from the series, it was so good to see Daniel back being Daniel again. Just the whole scene where they're, we're going to get the commander, and he walks up and he goes, Madison? June?
Yeah.
And they're like, you know these guys? It's like, and just the way he was like, give them back their guns. They're good.
Yeah.
Got a few other things to say about Daniel resurfacing later on in the Sosai. But for the most part, I was glad to see him back. I was glad to see the functioning Daniel, the badass Daniel back, as opposed to the, doddering old man Daniel. And it was also interesting that we got that little bit of feedback that, much like the other groups that we have run into, such as the Saviors and Virginia's bunch, that they actually said, okay, if you're an adult, we're going to cull you by your ability. We're going to cull you by your skills. We're going to put you where you're useful. And if you're not useful, we're going to get rid of you.
Mm-hmm.
So once again, that seems to be a common theme with the opposing groups where, the protagonists / good guys typically will keep you around because you're alive and you're a nice person, whether or not you're super contributory or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's about all I had for Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to just add, while, we had to live through the whole they making Daniel being like this, losing it in his mind and all this stuff, to have them bring him back being in all his faculties. But then they did kind of try to explain a little bit away when he was drinking that drink. And, he was saying, it's like, oh yeah, it's good for my, mental state or whatever he said. So it's like, they at least, I guess, addressed it and then were able to just be like, okay, cool, he's back. And then let's just leave it at that. So
it's like, well, I'll have to talk about that next block.
Okay. Well, I was just thinking about it. I'm like, well, it's like they did something. All right. Well, then that was all our awesome. So let's go into our weak sauce.
You're worthless and weak.
Okay. Would be fun where I was at. Ooh. Okay, week sauce starts off with Ivan from Minnesota, who says, I am ready to move on from this story. I just don't care about Padre, and this episode was boring. Oh, and the big leader reveal was so lame. Whoopie-doo. It was Shrike and her brother all along. Doesn't change that I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Deanna from Detroit. She says the whole fight scene with June and Shrek on the train with Madison and Big Mo. June hits her in the head, then stabs a zombie's head hanging over Madison. Then they get free, have a whole shootout in the train, but not one shot at Shrike. Like Ivan said, just off her head already. And how many times has Madison escaped now? The fact that she keeps escaping to only get caught again is hilarious. Cry face emoji. Yeah.
Yep. And Renee from Atlanta says Shrike and her brother being Padre was the big reveal. Girl, if you don't go sit down somewhere, I will strike you. Pun intended. And she's got a fist, a flex, and a peace sign.
Yep. Thanks, Renee. And then Aaron from the internet, she starts off with a quote. It's like, there's one person who can be the leader a group needs. Your dad, end quote. And then she's like, LOL. Just LOL, because no, the only time Morgan Joe does anything for her group is when you want to make situations worse. You literally have Daniel over here leading the parents fine and Mo swaying the kids. You don't need Morgan Jones. Like, he's their golden child. I get it, but also I'm still not taking that seriously and will just try to power through this content until I can get into something actually interesting to watch. Yeah. Yep. All right. Well, thank you everyone for your week sauces. So let's get into ours. I agree. I moved this earlier because, obviously the Padre flashbacks wasn't awesome. But I thought though that the general was it Krennic's, his kids, Sam and Ben, which is Shrek, and I call her Shrek, Shriek or Shrek.
She's not an ogre, man.
Well, anyway, so I just thought like Ben, like I felt like it was kind of like, I don't know, it was some like bad acting or something during the flashback, because I felt like they made them both act like they were like 6 years old. Like he was like dad left his binoculars that he was already had. They had some moment about like, oh, your mom gave me these to you so I can see what's ahead, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, dad left his binoculars. It's like, I have to go give them to him. It's like, so he can see what's in front of him. And so he like then traps Shrek in the boat thing. But it was just like, I don't know. It's like, and so he runs out to go find his dad. And then I was like, wait, you guys snuck on a boat that your dad told you, like, hey, you guys stay back home. And then he's like running around just like yelling, dad, like running around this empty shipyard. I don't know.
He's running around the shipyard doing a Stewie Griffin for his dad. Dad, daddy,
Yeah.
daddy, dada, dada, daddy.
Right. I know. Stop. But I mean, that's the thing. I didn't know if it was like they were trying to play off this sense that they were like just these sheltered kids that didn't really know anything or whatever, to have the whole crazy reveal. Okay.
Here's the problem. And I just got to throw this in here, is they were trying to do whatever it was 7 or 8 years ago, however long it was, with the actors who are the same age. They couldn't really do the CGI thing. So you get a very much older looking kid trying to act like an 8-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
It was just not good.
Yeah. It was not.
Because I'm going, what kind of, wobbly jerk are you that you're going all, loopy-loo because your dad left his binocular?
Right.
I mean, he's like you said, he's acting like he's a 6-year-old. You know, and he's running around like an abandoned kid in a Walmart. No.
It's just like the whole. I mean, it just left a whole bunch of like weird, like, wait, so like I get that this is earlier, so like dad's alive, so yeah, they're younger. I mean, I got that, but it was just it just came off so wrong.
Yeah.
But then it was also like, I keep having to tell myself, it's like, wait, these people, like, this is not the start of the apocalypse. This is like years. Like,
no. Okay. Establish where you're talking about. Because remember, during the flashback, that is still closer to concurrent with when Fear started. Because you notice they were talking about Operation Cobalt when they bombed Atlanta and Chicago and New York.
Oh, okay. I didn't, because then he talked about saying Senator Vasquez was still alive and hunkered in a bunker, and I was like, okay, well, but then we know he's dead. So this
is why I think that this happened whenever,
Cobalt.
You know, Madison and Daniel and Ophelia and everybody was trying to get out of town right as things were kicking off. Because if you remember, when they got out of town and they were on the boat and they were leaving, you could see the explosions.
Yeah.
So we know that was Cobalt. We know that was when the military started bombing urban centers. So that starts syncing up your time frame a little bit. So this would have been like when we first saw Nick and Alicia. Then with the time jump, you know, they actually had a bigger time jump because they went from like the beginning of the series till now.
Yeah.
Which is however many years plus 7 or so.
Yeah, plus 7. Yeah, okay. Well, that's why it was confusing again. Yeah. So that's why I was like, wait, you guys should not. Well, okay, that app opens up a lot of other questions. But anyways, I'll just leave it at that. Well, actually, it goes into it's like, because then it was like, so the whole current Padre is just being run by kids. And I guess, you know, they recruit some adults. And I guess, yes, they're older than being like little, but they're still children, you know, in their group. And so that's why it was like, so as like, we're supposed to believe that like this whole entire chain of command like left the kids on the island behind and then all died. And then Sam and Ben were just there to be like, oh, hey, we like take over. Like, that's what there's.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think Shrek tried to say something about like, oh, there might have been other adults there or something at the time. I don't know. But anyways, it was still just kind of like, wait, huh?
If you keep saying that, Kyle, I'm going to start saying, get out of my swamp.
All right. Is it Shrike? Shrike with an H. Okay. I still like Shrek. Okay. And then the whole reveal in the episode, like, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of funny. It's like, so like, Madison just like walks up right to the gates of Padre, like demanding these files, and they just like let her in because she's got Shrike. And then
onions have layers, survivors have layers.
But then they go in and they're like in the room like that is completely like closed off, and like then that's when they're like, okay, we're gonna tell you our whole like deal, like our whole story. And I'm just like not during that time at all. Just like they had so many opportunities to kill Shrike that like okay, we're just going to leave you here. And like, there's supposedly we have like other soldiers, but we're just going to just let you go. And you guys have guns and weapons. I don't know. It's just, I was like, okay. And then all of a sudden on that, then they guilt trip Madison because she killed Dove's mom or whatever, which now we find out her name is Odessa. And then Dove is all of a sudden like, mad that saying like you killed my mom, when I thought just not too long ago she's all like, oh no, my parents abandoned me and I don't like them and I don't even know them. It was just like you turned 180 really quick about caring.
Oh yeah. And the fact that they pulled that nugget out, that we wondered why it was a big deal about that gal getting killed. And I guess now we know.
Yeah.
She was the Chekhov's survivor. Chekhov's gun. It's a literary trope.
Yeah. Anyways, it was just like,
criminy
okay,
people.
Sure, that'll just fine.
Yep.
All right. Well, what did you have for your weeks?
Well, let's start with the first. Is that while I'm very, very glad that Daniel was back, I was going, okay, so the last time we saw him, he was in a crap state. And there was poor Charlie dying of radiation poisoning. And now, a few years later, give him a mission and, a few 6-packs of yerba mate, and that whole thing with Charlie, he can just put it behind him. And I'm like, dude, really? Because again, do not get me wrong. I'm glad to see the character being the character that I love. However, the fact that he's just like, I couldn't be there for Charlie. I couldn't be there for Ophelia. So now I'm going to be there for these random people that I've met on the road. And I'm like, okay. My next point is, well, the nut did not fall close to the tree with General Jr. Shrike's brother, that I can't remember what his name was because I really wasn't that invested with his little squealing honey. Because, okay, I'm going to go ahead and say he got his dad killed. Mm-hmm. Again, with the whole running through the Connex yard, yelling for daddy, trying to take him his binoculars. It's like, you caused this, dude, and he saved your life. But I can't let poor General Chompy Face get too far away, because I'm going, okay, he didn't have a shiv. I mean, come on.
Right.
When, back in the halcyon days of my youth, when I never wore that uniform, because, sorry, Army ACUs are the ugliest uniform the Army ever had. I, however, wore God's flannel, woodland camouflage, battle dress utility. But when I was in uniform, I had a knife. I might have had more than one knife. So after he dumps his 7 out of his 45, I'm kind of going, where's your knife, Dad? Yeah. So after the fact that I'm going to be super critical of the general not having a shiv, the next thing is why didn't he have more magazines? And I'm just going to say, for, general editorial content, as someone who has, carried for a living, if you're carrying a government model 1911 that holds 8 rounds, you carry extra magazines. If you're not carrying another one, you can't do a New York reload. That is to say, you throw the empty gun at the bad guy and pull the second gun you have under your shirt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're going for somewhere peaceful. It's the zombie apocalypse, man. You carry magazines. I mean, when I was carrying my 1911 as an off-duty gun, I would carry 3 magazines. And that's 24 rounds plus the 8 that are in the gun. You know, when I was carrying my combat Tupperware, there's 15 in the gun, and I carried an extra magazine of 15. Sometimes I carried an extra magazine of 17, so that I have at least 30 rounds on my person. And just to throw this in here, it's not that you think you're going to need all the bullets, but guess what? Even the best people miss occasionally. And, you know, misses don't count. So I'm like, okay, he's got the pistol and no mags. So he's got no knife. He's got no mags. Obviously, he's been in the rear with the gear for far too long. And speaking of that, when he was getting on the boat, you saw, 6, 7 guys going with him? You know, the cloud of troopies going with the general. Where did they all go? Did he just scamper off looking for Junior and leave them alone? When potentially your troopies may have rifles and knives and pistols and more than one. You know, one of the rules of gunfighting is bring a friend.
Or
preferably bring all your friends. So where did they go? Were they all lost in the corn maze getting eaten? It just makes me wonder. And about that, so all of his troopies were swarming around the boat before the boat left. So please posit to me a logical way that Shrike and her brother got into the compartments in the cabin of the boat where they were hiding when they made their appearance once they got to the shipyard.
Right.
You know, do they have teleporters? Are they just that super ninja? How'd they get on the boat? Because they were hiding in the cabin. And granted, I'm not a boat person, but it still stands to reason that if you're hiding in the place that has the greatest likelihood of having people in it, I just don't know how they did it. I'd like to know that, because if they can do that, if they can get into the boat past all of the trained military people that were supposedly driving the boat, then maybe that explains why they're in charge. I don't know. And this is just a logistical question. So we saw that some of those stacks of Connex boxes are 2 and 3 high. Mm-hmm. I didn't see a front end loader. So how do you suppose, in these days of the apocalypse, do you get the box that's got the stuff you need that's probably on top 3 rows deep? How do you get it out? And while I was pondering on that, something else occurred to me. So, you've got all these Connex boxes. We know they have stuff in them. So, why didn't anyone have a ladder?
Oh, yeah. Good question.
Because you wouldn't have to go inside to where all the walkers are. They're stacked right next to the fence. So all you would need is a 30-foot extension ladder and a pair of bolt cutters.
Yeah.
And a friend with a wagon.
Oh, mysteries.
Oh, yes. And I have one more point that I've saved for the what sauce. So that's really about it.
Okay. Oh, that was good, though. That's a good long. Oh, goodness. Who knows? All right. Well, then that takes us into our what sauce.
What?
Let's kick off that what sauce with the editor from Detroit, who says, so, Finch is still alive after being bitten. And she's got shock face.
Yep. And Renee from Atlanta says, you mean to tell me our people from The Walking Dead, Morgan and Dwight, cannot take out some birds? Face palm emoji and then shrug. Hell to the na-na to the na-na, and then cussing faces.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Ivan from Minnesota says, so I guess Dwight's kid is okay, and they kind of just glance over that. That's a pretty big deal, writers. Grr. And he also has a oh hell no. That's, I swear to goodness, they had Shrike so many times they could have killed her. I wanted to teleport into the screen and kill her myself and just get it over with. Now she's going to unleash a whole bunch of walkers. Fantastic. I just can't with this show. And he leaves it with an eye roll.
Yeah, exactly. And I do want to preface, I ended up taking out the oh hell no section. So with especially when we're trying to like save on time, especially for editing, I'm going to leave. If you have oh hell no's, bring them on. We'll just bring them and keep them into the what sauces.
And we will apply the proper amount of emphasis.
Yes.
Just to get the point across.
All right. Well, next is Erin from the internet, and she says, Luciana is dead? Since when? Question mark. It's been a good while since between seasons, so I've definitely forgotten this part, or maybe it's just because they didn't give her anything to do to keep her in the forefront post season 3. But yeah, I thought she was still alive currently. And as far as I know, she is. She was on the boat with everybody. We just don't know if she's going to show up or not. It's a good question. I don't know if her name is in the credits.
It's a valid question.
Yeah. I feel
and
like
I will ask our crack research team to see what they can come up with.
Yep. All right. Next, she says, I do not understand the idea Padre has of separating kids. Like, okay, yes, telling them their parents died early or give them up saves them from watching them die in this world. But like, it doesn't save them from the loss, as they will still see friends die. Also, Padre is saying screw you to the parents as if they can survive without the kids. And that's not true. It's just a really messed up motto they have going on right now. And I don't see their argument holding water, as they say. Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
And why were the kids on the boat heading to the shipyard? The dad told them to stay, and Shrike agreed. So why did they go along anyways? By sneaking aboard the boat? And okay, they used the mic to fake the dad still being there, but the ones who rescued them from the shipyard know the guy is dead, so why did they follow his kids instead of taking over themselves? How they got to power feels a little weak, as well as what on the how.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed. Yes.
And Mike from Astral goes, Padre, the backstory. Finch is healing? Everything. Are all the shipping containers full of supplies still? You know, supplies meant to restart civilization. Are they just sitting on those and not sharing? Their plan is flawed with the whole no parents keep kids safe thing. Eventually the kids will be older, some are already, and they will start making babies. Then they will become parents. What happens to those parents? Are they allowed to stay, or will they vanish one night to protect the kids? And he's got an oh hell no for Two grieving teens lose their dad, who is in charge of restarting the world, decide to take the operation into an entirely different direction, and yet no one questioned it. They want to save the other kids from feeling the pain of losing their parents by taking them away from their parents and telling them that they were given up on. That's the best story the writers can come up with.
You couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Myself, Mike. Yeah, it's it's almost laughable.
Mhm.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for your what sauces. So that goes into ours, and you guys basically summed it up more than I could have ever have. But I have to put in here that says there is no cure. Stop it. Like, I'm tired of this. Like, this is Kirkman already addressed this in the comics, and it's been talked about forever. That it's like, stop. There is no cure. There is no cure. So stop it.
Yep.
That's it.
Well, I have two. And since everybody keeps bringing up, so these two kids that just happen to be the boss's kids end up taking over. And this is what I wonder. You can't tell me if they were any soldiers, Marines, airmen, sailors, Coast Guardsmen, anybody that had been through any kind of military training. I don't care if they are a cook that's a private. They would have gone, I don't care whose kids you are, you're a child. And would have slapped the snot out of them and said, okay, I guess I'm in charge.
Right.
Because one thing that the military does, and I will attest to this, is that you train to lead upward. So they always talked about one of the ones they talked about was back in the day, the Soviet Union. They talked about the Soviet Army. They said you shoot the officers and everybody else lays down because they're so indoctrinated as to you follow the officer's in charge, you don't question the officers. Whereas the U.S. military, we're trained to, if you are the ranking person, then you are in charge.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been lots of times during the history of the U.S. military, and I can think of one right off the top of my head, and, and I've got to deflect a little bit, but props to my crayon-eating brethren that during several battles during the Pacific and World War II, they had company-level elements, which is like, 200-300 guys being led by an E5 sergeant because he was the last ranking person in charge. Mm-hmm. And that's the way we're trained, is so if they come back and everybody's dead except for Private First Class Snuffy, the maintenance guy, then guess what? The maintenance guy is going to take charge because that's what he does. And the fact that there's these two kids who are suddenly in charge, no.
Yeah.
Do not buy it. Do not buy it at all.
Yeah. And that's like what I was saying before. It was just like, there's like no chain of command. Like there isn't.
Well, and there's no chain of command, and there's no freaking adults.
Right. That's like,
I'm going to say, even if they weren't in the military chain, if there's, and I'm pointing at myself, even though, background wise, it would be different. So I'm going, okay, you've got a 40-year-old IT guy that's the adult. Well, guess what? He's probably in charge now. I just, nah. Because you tell me that any adult is suddenly going to go, oh,
Yeah.
well, I'm going to follow this 13-year-old because, their dad was the general. No.
Or like, would they have been like, oh no, you're banished, or we're kicking you out or something? It's like, it's like this. It makes, and that's the thing. That's what was my big question too, was just like, wait, so like, did like all of the adults go on this mission and they were all either, it's like, but no one was left behind and they left all the kids there?
Or eventually they ended up being in charge because all the adults got killed. But that's not the way it was laid out.
Right.
That's not the impression that I got.
Yeah, same here.
And this is more of a writer thing. They've been dangling this Padre nugget in front of us, and apparently everybody out there knows about Padre. So, at this shipyard, you've got a huge ass stack of Connex boxes that all have convenient 3-foot-high letters on them that say Padre. Now, maybe it's just me, Kyle, but it seems like that someone would have probably noticed by now.
Right.
It just boggles my freaking mind that, Brian always talked about the time and distance thing. Mm-hmm. That, we had a Rhode Island sized Texas. And then somebody once upon a time, I think you've said it, I know Brian said it, the thing about, well, obviously the zombie virus makes you, makes your eyes go. But how are you going to plausibly explain to me that over the years, and I mean years of this thing going on, and how many times have you heard a character in the show say, well, we've been looking for supplies everywhere. Right. We've been looking everywhere. Well, obviously you haven't been looking everywhere because we just found a whole mountain of supplies that obviously nobody's messed with.
Right.
And I'm sure there's somebody out there in podcast land that is suddenly perking up and going, but wait, LT, the yard is full of zombies. And I will go back to my original comment that I made in the last section. If you had a 30-foot freaking stepladder, you could go up to the fence, throw it onto the Connex box, climb onto the top, just like we saw Shrike and her brother do when Dad boosted them up before he did the I'm drowning in a pool of zombies like quicksand. No. I'm sorry. Yeah. I'm going to rant about that in a second now that I've reminded myself. But if you had a freaking ladder, you could be, I don't know, into all of this stuff to rebuild civilization, avarice beyond your heart's desire, because there's probably all kinds of stuff in there. And I just am going, so you didn't find this stuff when you're out looking for supplies and you're starving to death.
Right. Or any other group would have been like, oh, hey.
Anybody.
Like that place would have been taken care, like would have been gone.
Yeah.
Walkers or not.
Yeah. And so, I'm just puzzling. And I guess the last thing that I'm going to throw out is I am so tired of the passive, I'm going to just, settle my fate and be eaten and dissolve into the, do the slow fade into the pile of walkers. No. it's going to be, I'm going to fight until they chomp my arms off. Go out scrapping. And again, I'm just saying, obviously the general's been in the talk too long. I'm like, you're in charge of a military unit, sir.
Right.
Go out fighting. Don't just sit there and look wistfully at your children.
Right. And say the sweet nothings of oh, I love you. You guys go out and survive. It was this whole.
It's going to be the long string of not safe for cable expletives. And if I have to pull off some corpse's rotten arm and use it as a cudgel to beat my way through the crowd, I just really have a problem with that.
Yeah. No,
I just really do.
No,
because if you're gonna go down swinging.
Right.
I just don't like this. Pearl clutching hand to the forehead. Oh no!
Right. Well, no, and that's the thing. You're right. And then he's sitting there talking to them, basically singing his whatever, motivational speak while he's being chomped on, which would be doesn't that hurt?
It's you must carry on.
Yeah.
You must follow my dream.
And this guy's
the
ripping
keys
my
to
shoulder apart.
The keys to the Suburban are in the cabinet.
Don't touch my liquor.
Yes. The keys to the liquor cabinet are in the basement. Your mother's pictures are in my underwear drawer. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. No.
Oh my God. Yes.
I just, come on. Come on.
It just, I don't want to linger too much, but
Well, I think I've said enough.
Yeah. No, I was just I was getting early World Beyond stuff, and I was just stop it, move on. All right. Well, that was it for our what sauces then. So let's get into our sad and aw sauce. Aww. And we just had the one from Renee from Atlanta, and she said Mo is so adorable, and then big heart kiss, or that's lots of hearts around face emoji.
Yep.
All right. Well, that was it for listeners. So I don't really have anything to add. Do you have any sad or awes? I mean, I guess Mo maybe.
Well, yeah, I'll give you partial credit for that. Oh, doggone it. Okay. I just thought of something else, but it doesn't fit here. So, okay. The only bit of all sauce that I had was that whole, like I said, Daniel's run talking about, Charlie's dead and I couldn't be there for Ophelia. And, the fact that he's going over all this stuff. And you can tell that he is saddened by that, but he's now I have a purpose. Now I have a job. And I'm going, best way to work through your emotions is to do something constructive. So,
well, I'll just add that it was sad that the Madison listening to him say oh, and I basically took Charlie as my own daughter. And then I was wait, Madison, the last you remember, Charlie killed your son.
No. Does she know? Was that before?
Because that was during the stadium.
I know.
Hijinks.
I know. But I wanted to say that I don't know if she knew
it's
Charlie.
It's possible. I'd have to go back because Alicia knew, obviously.
Yeah, I know Alicia knew, but I don't know if Madison knew.
I will have to go back and investigate because it just struck me that way that I was wait, no. But I think you're right. She probably did not know.
I just know that I never held it against her because I never liked Nick. So,
that was Well, anyways. All right. Well, then that's all the sad and awe. So let's get into our feedback.
We can talk about it. Done talking. Time to listen.
All right. Well, we are blessed with a voicemail from none other than Renee. Yay!
Yay!
I'll play her voicemail now, and then I put it in the doc in a second because that's where it was. So I will read her feedback after that, and then we'll go on from there. All right.
Hi guys, this is Renee from Fairburn calling in about Fear the Walking Dead. I am so lost, and I'm assuming, and I'm hoping that it's because I did not watch it last season, because the very first episode, I'm like, what the heck is going on? It's like then a cult, Morgan and Mo's mother, I forgot her name, the young lady, Grace, I think that's her name, whatever her name is, for 7 years. They just left their kids and didn't see each other. And then Dwight and whatever his girlfriend name is, they left their son, and just because they thought they couldn't take care of the kids. So that's why they left them with Padre, which makes no sense to me, because seriously, Dwight and Morgan come from a community that was thriving. So they do know that it's communities out there that, that Alexander, the Hilltop, all of that. I don't get it. I don't see how you just, I'm gonna hand my kids over to them, and they're not even gonna know that I'm the parents because they can do a better job taking care of them. Hell no. Like, that don't even make no sense. That does not make any sense to me at all. And especially Dwight's girlfriend, whatever her name is. It's like, girl, you came from a cult with Negan. And was it last season before, whatever, you were having flashbacks and all of that, and now you just give your son away? That does not make any sense to me. The second episode, I can't even remember what the second episode was back about. I don't know if we're on the second or the third, but whatever. The one last night, Padre, the big reveal was that it was the son, and Padre is dead. And you mean to tell me that no one saw Padre in all these years and no one asked to see Padre? Come on now. I mean, I am the type of person that will give you the benefit of the doubt, and Fear, I don't know, unless it's leading up to Rick, and the Civic Republic, or something like that. I'm like, this is crazy to me. It makes no sense. Daniel and Madison meet, and she doesn't ask 1,000 questions about her kids, or he doesn't seem shocked. It's just, I'm over Fear, but I'm going to watch it to the end because I'm hoping that my boo, Rick Grimes, is going to show up. Rick has to show up, because this is all for nothing. Like, this makes no sense. None whatsoever. And Shrike, whatever her name is, look, girl, go sit down, have several seats, go on about your business. There's no way that like, Morgan, you come from one of the baddest groups ever, Alexandra, with Rick. Like, she should, like, are you serious? Are you serious? Like, are you serious? That's all I can say. Are you serious? I don't like it. I'm not happy with it, and I don't like it. Okay. And I told Mike that I was not going to go on and on, so I'm not, but I'm so happy to be back. I really miss you guys. Hi, Gwyneth. Hi, Dieta. Mike. Of course, you guys. Brian, I haven't heard him on there. I don't know. I missed the last podcast. I haven't listened to it yet, but I'm headed to Savannah tomorrow for graduation. I'm going to listen to it on my way there. And, hi, Kyle. I miss you guys so much. It's like, you just do not know. LT, I miss you. I miss your accent. And I'm just so happy that I'm finally settled down a little bit, so that I could call in. Alrighty, talk to you guys later. Bye.
Yay! Thank you. I'm so glad to hear your voice again, Renee.
And we missed you too.
Yes, I am glad that you're catching up and joining us now in all this wonderful fun that is Fear. But don't wait, 3 more weeks, and then we're going to get that Dead Island, and I think that's going to be much more exciting and worthy of talking about.
I mean, come on, the commercials for Dead Island are better than the episode of Fear.
Yeah, for sure. I'm sorry, but there's no expectations of getting anything Civic Republic, Rick Grimes, anything with fear. I don't see it. They're wrapping this up with this whole Padre story. I guess
I would be shocked to the point of unconsciousness if I saw any Andrew Lincoln.
Yes. Or even the CRM. Like there's no way none of that could catch up into this. So yeah, we're just gonna see what weird stuff they do with these kids. All right, I'll go into her written feedback. She's like, I don't like it. Cuss face, thumbs down. But my hometown looks awesome. When they're in the swamps, you can see the moss hanging everywhere. The moss trees are really beautiful. I love driving down Victoria Drive. The moss hangs really low. If you're not used to them, they look creepy at night. And at least that's what people who visit tell me. A little backstory about the moss. They were used to make pillows back in the day, and that's how they came up with the phrase, sleep tight, don't let the bed bugs bite. At least that's what I was told when I went on the Freedom Tour, which I suggest you do if you're ever in Savannah. It's a tour about slavery in a man. When I tell you, it's truly an experience. The seafood there is really good, and I would suggest you go in the hood if you're not scared. She shrugged. Because those spots have the best seafood and barbecue. Seriously, if you guys are ever down south, visiting Savannah is a must. It truly has a southern charm to it, and I'm not being biased because it's my hometown. Peace and love, and then peace sign. Thank you, Renee. Yeah, I'm actually not too well. I'm far enough away that's a drive to get to Atlanta, but much closer than I used to be.
Well, and Savannah also has the Mighty 8th Air Force Museum, if you like airplanes. And it's the last stop of Georgia before you fall off into Florida. So
yeah. Oh, Florida. All right. Thank you, Renee. All right. Next.
Okay. Next up, we have Ivan from Minnesota who says, so glad this is the final season, ready to put this show out of its misery. Boring episode, and I really hope the next one's better.
Oh, we gotta cross our fingers. All right, next is Deanne from Detroit. She says, so Shrike and Crane call themselves saving kids from their heartache of losing their parents by taking kids from their parents, all because they chose to be hard-headed and go where they weren't supposed to be. Their father died because he sacrificed himself to save them after he told them to stay put. But now they're all the experts on pain and grief after getting their father killed. Man, whatever. This created the fake Padre with Crane pretending to be his dad, and his sister and the other kids hijacking other kids from adults who apparently are helpless against the angst teenagers growing up without adult guidance. I don't know, but it's a lot to digest. But hey, it's Fear the Walking Dead. Shrug emoji. Yeah, all the kids running things and the adults taking and following orders from kids. So glad it's the end of the line for this show. Lots of emojis.
Yes.
Agreed.
So we got a short one from Mike from Asheville, because even with a backstory, I feel like nothing happened in this episode. The story of Padre and what it seems worthless, and now I really don't care about it. Time to move on. Bring together the rest of the crew and let's walk off to wherever this story is ending.
I just wonder how long it's going to take to get to that walk off.
It's going to be a long walk, man.
Oh, goodness. All right. Erin from the internet, she says, I'm glad we finally have some Padre backstory revealed, but like if the writers think this is going to make us feel for Ben and Sam, they have another thing coming, I feel. Sam, aka Shrike, is over here wanting to sacrifice kids to clear out a shipyard because no way they will all survive, and Ben was cool with ripping kids from families because he thinks it's what's best for them. Or at least his sister told him it was what's best. He might be the voice of Padre, but I feel Sam runs the show at the end of the day. So yeah, not feeling sympathy for them enough to mourn them when they die. Maybe if they had presented a better reason for keeping families apart, or explained why that was poor overall, everyone in the room had to admit Padre was working, then you can have sympathy for Ben, but as I won't mourn them. Strike, who's going to extreme for cures, has gone too far, so I don't think she can be saved, even if they manage to make Ben sympathetic by disagreeing with her methods. And I know Finch seems quite fine now, but let's not forget that everyone seems fine until they weren't, so I'm not holding out for them to have made a cure using radiation in Madison's blood. I suspect Finch will turn when the drama is most wanted to turn up by the writers, so we can be sad, but really people are just mad because why did the kid have to die? Yeah. I know you both mentioned last week, why did it have to be Dwight and Sherry specifically, as if they can't catch a break? So yeah, it's true fashion to the writers now. They'll think it's dramatic, but really all it will do is anger fans more, I guess, or is my guess. I don't have faith in the series, as you can tell. I do wonder how people would react if they went the ultra chic route of having Finch seem fine and be with Dwight and Sherry only to turn and bite one of them, and that's how those characters go out. I'd imagine people wouldn't take that well, but I don't put it past these writers, especially given it's the final season, so I wouldn't be shocked to see main players this year starting to go out the closer to the end we get.
Indeed.
Yep.
And so we've got feedback from Glennis from Toronto. She says, I'm a little confused, though. Is that Finch who is still alive after having radiation treatment? You still can't get that kid to sleep either. Nothing keeps him from staying awake. If it's Dwight and Sherry's son, then they don't know he's still alive, but maybe the radiation will kill him eventually in the end. I lost track of who all were confronting in standoff groups. One was Shrike and Padre confronting Madison and June, then Mo confronting Shrike, and then the parents headed by Daniel. And at the end of nearly every standoff, one group would go off in the boat and no one would shoot after them. It's hilarious. But I did enjoy this episode more than the first two episodes. It seems to have more direction and not just amble around like the first two did. So Crane, Shrike's brother, is the front end pretending to be the General Padre. So what? They lost their dad, so now all kids also need to be separated from their parents. Well done to Mo saving Madison from certain death, and then Madison and June managed to kill all the guards. Though I think the one person that needs to be killed to sort out all the Padres' problems is Shrike. A little birdie told me that. They had ample opportunities in all the standoffs that went on in this episode. I thought for a split second that the leader of the parents group would be Strand, which turned out to be Daniel, but I hope to have an episode before all this ends that Madison and Strand will reunite. And what are Shrike and Crane planning with all those walkers in the shipyard? Selling them off to the CRM to let them loose and then offer their so-called cure when somebody gets bit then, like a twist on The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 9, No Way Out? These two, Shrike and Crane and Padre, remind me a little of the wolves, as both made use of the walkers as a weapon. I probably need to watch this episode again and get the events slotted in the right order in my mind, and we'll pick up on everything that I missed. It's an episode that's not too painful to watch for a second time. It would have been torture to try and rewatch those first two episodes. Indeed.
Yes.
Glennis, indeed.
I didn't. I was only able to watch it once, so I definitely might try to give it a second watch, but we're on the podcast now.
No. I may give it a second watch whenever we get to the start of the second half. Just re-binge the first half.
Yeah, get a refresh. Thank you, Glennis. As always, you basically had a lot of points of what's going on. We don't really understand a lot of it. Oh goodness.
Yes, indeed, and that's why we appreciate our listeners and the feedback they give us, because you guys see things that we don't, and you sometimes have different angles on things we do, and we appreciate it so very much.
Yes.
And thank you for hanging out with us.
All right. Well, did you have anything else to add for feedback?
I did.
Sweet.
And sad to say, it hit me after we were already out of that sauce. And I just wanted to quickly editorialize over the shootout in the train car. For the love of God, I think they shot every pane of glass out in that train car. And I'm going, okay, She only cut off one of June's fingers. Okay? Maybe she's not a lefty, but she's still got a working finger on that hand, and she's still got, the ability to grip and steady a little bit. And at this point in the apocalypse, I don't see why you haven't actually had the opportunity to shoot people with your offhand. But it was like that shootout scene from one of the Naked Gun movies where they're like 2 feet from each other and they're going pow, 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 and missing each other. I'm like, come on. She went through the zombies like a knife through hot butter last week, and this time she's shooting like an Imperial stormtrooper. And then the bad guys are probably not doing much better.
Yeah.
So I think it was obviously, sponsored by the Corning Glass Company or Safe Light.
Oh,
because I'm serious. I mean, okay, let's back up one more. Besides shooting all the glass out of this, where were they, Kyle? In their super secret medical research facility with all that, irreplaceable medical research gear. And they're in there blasting away at each other like an episode of the A-Team.
It's when they're shooting zombies. Oh, it's a headshot every single time. When
they're
shooting other people, it's like, oh no, I can't. Like
I said, if it's zombies, unless it's time for them to get eaten,
right?
It's like Doc Holliday and Tombstone. And if it's other people, it's like Hannibal Smith and the A-Team.
It's just a head scratcher. Oh, all right. Well, yeah, that was all that I had to.
That's all I got. Man.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm ready to move on.
I'm done.
All right. Well, that I've said before, skipping the ratings until we get to the mid-season finale. I did the ones for this week weren't out whenever I was like looking at them, so I can tell you the trend is down. So we'll see what this episode.
No.
Yeah, I know. Shocker. All right. Well,
I've got one quick complaint. If we're going in talking about ratings, they're showing the episode twice and then they're moving on. I want to see Hardwick.
Yes.
I want Talking Dead. I miss Talking Dead.
Agreed.
I realize that, they probably can't afford to do this episode and pay him too.
Yeah.
But I think Talking Dead would have helped, but that's been my contention all along. But.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that. But they're not going to waste that airtime on this show or budget. It makes me question. I have not heard anything about Dead Isle, so I don't know if that's. I feel like they would have, already been, playing ads or like talking about it, but I don't know if that'll be a surprise.
They're pimping the stuffing out of it because I've seen at least 3 different trailers now.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, and it's also during the show, during the commercials. So they're like, hey, just hold on, the good stuff's coming.
Yeah, keep watching this space, and eventually it'll be Negan and Maggie.
Yep. Hey, LT, you want to tell people how to interact with us?
Yes, I will, Kyle. We want to encourage you to follow us on Twitter and Instagram. That's @WalkingDeadTTM. To submit your theories and feedback, most people post in the designated episode thread in our Facebook group. That's facebook.com/groups/WalkingDeadTTM. You can send us an email. That's walkingdead@talkthroughmedia.com. You can also use the feedback forum on our webpage. That's talkthroughmedia.com/feedback. If you'd like to leave us voicemail, you can call area code 216-232-6146. Remember that all of our new episodes are out on YouTube. Just search for Talk Through Media and remember to subscribe and click that bell to get notified when we have new videos. We also want you to like and review the Talk Through Media Facebook page at facebook.com/talkthroughmedia. Of course, the absolute best way you can support us is through our Patreon. That's www.patreon.com/walkingdeadtalkthrough. And we'd like to thank all of our Patreon supporters: Renee Murray, Deetta Patterson, Mike Rollo, me, and Kyle McAdams.
Yay!
Remember that Deetta, Renee, Mike, Kyle, and LT will both be getting an early version of the episode this week.
I already got it.
So did I. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts or the podcast client of your choice. While you're there, give us a rating or a review. You can also leave us a review at podchaser.com. You can rate individual episodes or the whole podcast. And remember to share our posts on Facebook and Twitter when we post them, or tell a friend. Word of mouth is the best way to get us new listeners.
All right. Well, what else can be listened to on Talk Through Media? I know that Kim and James. Yeah, they started. Sorry, I just mind block. No, I know that they're still continuing strong with the Rebinge at Deep Space Nine. I know they released a couple episodes over the holiday. So I'm not sure when Prodigy starts back up, but I'm sure they'll be covering that as soon as it does. That should be coming up soon, shouldn't it?
Yep.
And then also hopefully when Star Trek Lower Decks comes on, me and you and hopefully Brian will be covering that. So we got our fingers crossed for that.
And we also know that we've got a release date for Strange New Worlds. So we're hoping to get back rolling with that, because that's coming up soon.
Yes, very soon. All right. Well, our next episode is Fear the Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 4, titled King County. Written by Andrew Chambliss and Ian Goldberg, which airs the fourth time in a row that this show is written by, or episode. Directed by Ron Underwood. And this, I usually get my stuff from Wikipedia, and there was nothing on there, but I found on the Walking Dead fandom that they put Ron Underwood, so I'm not entirely sure if that's who actually is directing this episode, but that's what I found. And the description on YouTube TV is Morgan returns to King County, gets complicated when Padre comes to collect. All right. So until next time, I'm Kyle.
And I'm LT.
And this is Fear the Walking Dead Talk. Good night, everyone.
Good night.